Back in 2020, president of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr., resigned from his post as president in the wake of scandal after scandal after scandal involving him and his wife, Becki. And if you remember back when all these things came about, the details read like they were coming straight out of a Hollywood writer's room. They were wild.
Falwell resigned from the college following a series of stunning developments. First, a racy photo he posted, then took down from social media with his arm around his wife's assistant. Then, that first jaw-dropping allegation of sexual impropriety that directly goes against the school's strict moral code.
We are so proud of our students here at Liberty, and it's just such an honor to be able to serve alongside them. And we try to teach good family values and good morals.
Falwell accused by his 29-year-old former business partner, Giancarlo Granda, of being aware of and even observing Granda's affair with Falwell's wife, Becki, though Falwell denies any involvement. This morning, that new allegation about the Falwells, coming from a former Liberty University student providing an anonymous account in Politico, alleging he had a sexual encounter with Becki Falwell, the wife of the school's former president, Jerry Falwell Jr., while he was a 22-year-old. The Falwells called the allegation false and mean-spirited.
Well, now, nearly 4 years later, Liberty University and Jerry Falwell Jr., after back and forth litigation, lawsuits, toward each other, they have come to a settlement and what seems like reconciliation. Yay! Only many people are calling this response from Liberty University as toxic. And the question is Liberty University being wise in the way that they are handling this? We're going to talk about all that in this video. We're going to detail what has now come about with this agreement that they have seemed to make and look at some lessons that we as followers of Jesus and as leaders in the church can take from it. If you're new to this channel, then welcome. My name's Brandon, and this is Preach and Lead. On this channel, we talk about how to preach memorable, to the heart, faithful sermons and how to lead intentionally in the church as Christ followers. Every now and then we look at a case study like this and pull out some lessons that we can learn. And if you are a pastor, then welcome. I have a specific gift for you as my way of saying thanks to you for being on this video. If you go to preachandlead.com/guide, there you can get my free 10-step guide to writing a sticky sermon. It'll help guide you from blank page to finished sermon, and not just any sermon, but a sermon that is faithful to the Word of God and memorable to your hearers. So go to preachandlead.com/guide and get your free guide today. The headline from Julie Roys reads, Liberty U and Jerry Falwell Jr. reach settlement. Falwell welcomed back on campus. Really interesting turn of events. Liberty University and its disgraced former president, Jerry Falwell Jr., have reached a settlement agreement, ending years of dueling lawsuits and back and forth allegations. In a statement published online, Liberty announced Friday that the two parties had reached a global resolution agreement settling all outstanding disputes on both legal and personal matters. The statement added that both Liberty and Falwell sincerely regret the lengthy and painful litigation process and each take responsibility for their part in the disputes. Without being specific, the statement said Falwell acknowledges and apologizes for the errors in judgment and mistakes made during his time of leadership. That's quite the understatement. Similarly, Liberty's Board of Trustees acknowledge and apologize for the errors and mistakes made on their part, the statement read. Interesting. The settlement ends 4 years of legal battles. Falwell's legal battles with the school began in October 2020, just 2 months after Falwell resigned as president amid allegations of a sexual relationship involving Falwell, his wife, and a business associate, Giancarlo Granda. Falwell had also recently published a racy social media post that grabbed the national attention. Falwell sued Liberty, claiming the school had set out to destroy Mr. Falwell's reputation by repeating the allegations of the relationship between the Falwells and Granda. Though Falwell's wife, Becki, admitted to the affair with Granda, Falwell Jr. denied he participated as a voyeur. 2 months later, Falwell dropped the defamation lawsuit. Then in April 2021, Liberty sued Falwell, claiming the former president withheld information from the school about the brewing scandals when negotiating his lucrative 2019 employment agreement. Falwell reportedly received a $10.5 million severance package when he resigned. He's doing okay. Falwell retaliated with a lawsuit against Liberty in March 2023, which argued that the school owed him over $8.5 million in retirement funds. So this is all about ego and money. Big surprise. In July 2023, Falwell and his family trust filed another lawsuit claiming that Liberty administrators were committing trademark infringement by using the late Jerry Falwell Sr.'s likeness without consulting the family. Trademark of someone's name and likeness. It's about money. In yesterday's statement, Liberty said that its settlement with Falwell is based on a mutual understanding regarding the amount Liberty University will pay its former president in authorized retirement and severance under the various disputed agreements. So again, this is about money. The statement added that both parties had also come to an agreement about the conditions under which the university will make use of Jerry Falwell Sr.'s name, image, and likeness. Liberty did not disclose the specifics of the agreement. However, in its statement, the school praised Falwell. The university appreciates and acknowledges the many contributions of Jerry Falwell Jr. during more than 3 decades of service to the university in various capacities, including his 13 years as president, and agree that he was instrumental in building Liberty into the world-class Christian institution it is today, the statement read. It added that the Liberty trustees and Falwell are committed to move forward in a spirit of forgiveness and with the hope of reconciliation in a Christ-honoring manner. That sounds good. That sounds nice and Christian, right? Okay, let's keep going because there's more to this. Falwell's welcome back on campus despite alleged misconduct with students. This is important. In the wake of the settlement, Liberty President Don DeCostin sent a letter to Liberty constituents stating that Jerry and Becki Falwell would now be welcomed back on campus. He also stated that a former prohibition preventing Liberty employees from communicating with Jerry Falwell Jr. about Liberty business and operations was now lifted. Constant also stated in the letter that since both parties had resolved their differences, it would be inappropriate and unhelpful to discuss, speculate, or gossip about details that have been publicly shared. Attorney Boz Trevidian, I might have butchered his name. I'm sorry, Boz. A prominent advocate for abuse survivors and former Liberty University law professor sharply criticized Costin's comments, especially given alleged misconduct between the Falwells and Liberty students. In addition to the scandal involving Granda, a former Liberty student claimed that Becki Falwell initiated oral sex with him, and as the Roy's report previously reported, Falwell posted a bizarre exercise video with female Liberty students and liked the social media posts of bikini-clad students. Reports of sexual misconduct with students and walking through campus together playing Would You Rather, and yet LU never conducted an independent investigation to find the whole truth of what, if anything, occurred between the Falwells and Liberty University students. The attorney posted on X. Now, he says, they welcome them back with open arms and direct others not to discuss, speculate, or gossip about details that have not been publicly shared. Briefly, quickly, I want to read to you a paragraph that comes from this statement from the president to Liberty University constituents. This is from him. I want to read and point you to this paragraph. Our ultimate prayer as Christians is to reach a healthy resolution whenever conflict occurs. Agreed. In this case, the principals have taken responsibility for their respective parts in the disputes and have apologized to each other. The parties to the resolution agreement are not making further comments, so it would be inappropriate and unhelpful to discuss, speculate, or gossip about details that have not been publicly shared. Please join me in speaking of Jerry and Becki with nothing but kindness and graciousness as we begin this new chapter. I have a problem with that because the principal people involved, Liberty Board of Trustees, and Jerry Falwell and Becki Falwell have decided not to discuss this further. It would be wrong for anyone else to discuss this further on the things that they don't share publicly. Not a lot of details are shared publicly. In many ways, if I think about what this is like, it reminds me of, and this is why the attorney called this a tragically toxic response to reported abuse, and why it's so common with American evangelicalism. It's not Christian. This kind of response is what you would often see in dysfunctional families when, say, a parent is an alcoholic. We just don't need to talk about it. We don't need to talk about it because talking about it is wrong. It's unforgiving. It's unchristlike. It's not being forgiving. And I have a problem with that because there have been allegations that the Falwells did not just take advantage of this pool boy and did not just take advantage of a Liberty University student, Becki did, but that this has been going on far more extensively between the Falwells and Liberty University students. And there has been a culture, a dysfunctional culture where when student-to-student abuse happens, those allegations and those cases are largely ignored and dismissed. Many people have called for independent investigations into the happenings of inappropriate relationships between Liberty University students and the Falwells. And Liberty University has not only denied that and not done it, but now they welcome them back onto campus. I'm sorry, but that just doesn't make any sense. This is the product of a dysfunctional culture where there's motivation to keep things hush-hush in order to maintain appearances. None of us want to believe that Christian institutions or churches are capable of this level of dysfunction and sin inside of its leadership. No one wants to believe that. But this is the product. This is what happens when there is a board of leaders who don't hold accountable the leaders who are in place as front-facing people who are on staff. Whether that's a Christian university or a church or a business, either way. So what's going to happen when the Falwells come back to campus and they continue their habitual, seems like addictive personality kind of interactions with students in a sexual manner? What's going to happen when this blows up in their face again? Now, there's no guarantee that the Falwells are ever going to come back to the campus. Liberty saying that they're welcome doesn't mean that they're actually going to come. But with the open door, like if you had someone, if you're a parent and you had someone abuse your kids or allegedly abuse your kids, maybe you didn't even prove it, but maybe allegedly took advantage of your kids, do you welcome them back into your house? Not if you're a good parent. No, you don't. You can forgive them, okay, but that doesn't mean you welcome them back home. And so with all this, I just have a completely different alternative for Christian organizations and churches when it comes to the way that we should conduct ourselves in leadership and the way we interact with our staff and with the people, the stakeholders involved. So with a university, that's the donors, that's the students, that's the parents of students. With a church, that's your members, that's the people who are involved, your community and your staff. How do you, as leaders of a Christian organization, how are you going to choose to lead? Here's a different alternative, a different vision. That leadership teams, if you're on a board of a church or a board of a university or some other nonprofit or whatever, a for-profit for that matter, leadership teams, you have to prioritize a leader's character over their competency. There's no bones about it. Jerry Falwell Jr. led Liberty University to grow in enrollment, to grow in endowments, all that. Like from just simply like, did he get the job done in the bottom line of what it looks like to run a university? All signs point to yes, he did. Yes, he did. But when there's so many skeletons in the closet, the competency should never come above someone's character, because it always leads to a fall that ultimately costs the organization, that ultimately costs people's well-being. And that means that Christians, we have to lead with transparency. When stuff does hit the fan because we failed and because someone sinned, which is it's bound to happen, there must be transparency. There must be specifics. And to that end, there needs to be a greater care for victims over and above this tendency and temptation for institutional self-preservation. This tendency to protect the name, the brand, the corporation, the church, the institution over and above the victims of abuse needs to stop. That's not Christ-like. And there must be accountability for leaders. There must be measures and systems for accountability for leaders. Because we all know that all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. That's true. But when you're in a position of leadership, you are held to a higher standard because the stakes are higher. Your sin has a greater impact on the people who follow you. Now I'm curious, from your standpoint, is it wise for Liberty University to welcome the Falwells back to campus at this point? Again, there's been no independent investigation on the Falwells and their involvement with other Liberty University students. There's been no independent investigation. There's been many allegations. Is it wise for Liberty University to welcome the Falwells back? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your opinion. And if you feel like you're getting bogged down with all this bad news of leaders not handling things well, then I want to encourage you. Watch this video because it shows a pastor who handled a really difficult and awkward situation with grace and the love of Jesus. It's really cool. Check that out. I'll see you in that video.